What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 247 of the allegedly award-nominated number 9 NCAA ranked, and apparently Shrek ranked still, because I think Shrek's rankings might be in hibernation. And of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB, it's Deej, coming at you with just pure excitement. It's that time. Today on the show, big topic. It's NLL divisional season preview time. We are going to be breaking down our season preview for the West Division for 2022-2023. We got 7 teams on the docket to break down, from the defending champs to the newest expansion team. We got a couple legends calling it a career, and Matt Cavanaugh is the first PLL free agent signed, heading into free agency in just a couple months. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod. Twitter for however long it's still around. Hopefully it's much longer than what everybody is saying. Thanks, Elon. Instagram at OTB LaxPod. Follow DJ on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat, at KBIZZL311 is my Twitter handle. Follow me there. Make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. DJ and I are we're up to something. We're conjuring quite a plan for this NLL season that if we pull this off, you're going to want to tell all of your friends to subscribe to the podcast feed. Apple, Spotify, leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Come through on the podcast reviews and in the YouTube comment section. Let us know who your favorite NLL players are. Keep it simple, but we want to hear from you guys. Who are your favorite NLL players? Doesn't matter what team, just let us know. But subscribe to the pod feed. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. You get full video episodes of OTB each and every week. We got a big announcement at the end of the show as well that you're not going to want to miss, that partakes with our YouTube channel. YouTube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, ring the bell icon, comment down below your favorite NLL players, and be a friend, tell a friend to subscribe to the channel. And of course, Outside the Box is brought to you by our merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. They are the best in the game. Like, I couldn't be more thrilled with how our partnership with them has started off. OTB merch should be available, starting with the logo shirt, by the end of this week. Hopefully by the time you guys are listening to this, it'll be available. But Outside the Box is brought to you by PHI Apparel Company. They provide unique designs and high-quality clothing for the great fans of the sport of lacrosse with their original designs for all. There's no doubt you guys are going to stand out in the crowd this NLL season and, of course, this summer during the PLL season. You guys can use our code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any apparel when you shop online at phiapparel.co. That's phiapparel.co, and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off. Guys, Black Friday, Cyber Monday is right around the corner. Get a jump start. Get that merch ready to rock and roll. It's an easy way to hook the family up with your favorite podcast merch. phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND. What's going on, Deej?
Dog, life is life.
Life is life.
This part of the year gets really crazy at the career with holiday specials and all that jazz going on. So I am living the dream, they say.
As our boy, my brother-in-law, Matt Castorina would say, living the dream. We've got part 1 of 3 of the 2022-2023 season previews on deck. And it's going to start off in the wild, wild West.
Colorado, underdogs no more. They win game 3 in Buffalo, and the Mammoth are 2022 NLL champions. Goals for Double B, 99 for Berg. Both of them 33 assists, and there's number 1 in purple for Dane Doby.
You know, he's got King off the bench. King shot, scores! Wonderful transition by the Roughnecks. Damn, double flush off the post and in.
Through it, such a nightmare for the defense. Your lungs are pumping. There's battery acid coursing through.
Assist. It's 3-0 Panthers City.
The West Division is locked and loaded from top to bottom, like we said at the top of the show. We've got the defending champion Colorado Mammoth. We've got the newest expansion team. We've got year 2 for Panther City. We've got the San Diego Super Seals. And the rest of this West Division got a whole lot wilder this offseason. Deej, before we go team by team, breaking down schedules, expectations, players to watch, what are you expecting as you head into year 2 of fully, indulging in NLL action from this West Division with how loaded it is, the team switch-ups, free agent signings that happened, and just how chaotic this division is going to be with 7 teams that all look poised to be competing for a postseason spot?
I may get some flack for this because I know we got some viewers out west, but I really like the way the West looks. I think there will be competitive games all through the West, but it looks like it's going to shape up to be those top 4 teams fighting for all of the playoff spots with each other. And kind of like those are going to be your hard, heavy hitter games. They're going to be very exciting to watch. Whereas those games at the bottom is kind of more of fighting to not be in last place. They won't really be a factor, as I think the West gets 4 spots, I believe.
I think that's how it's going to work this year. It's either 3 or 4.
Yeah, so I would assume San Diego, Colorado, Calgary, and I'm going to say Panther City.
I think there's a couple wild card options in this West division that could really shake some things up. But we're going to dive right into it. We're going to go team by team. We're going to determine who we think is going to be the best. You guys know how we did this last year. We're going to give our overall records, who we think is going to win the division, all that good stuff. And we're going to start with the defending champions, the boys, my guys, the Colorado Mammoth, the defending champs from 2022. Lots of youth brought onto this team during the offseason, with additions of Asher Nolting coming in. Obviously, they drafted him, but he went back to college, so he didn't play last year. But Asher Nolting in the fold, Logan Wisnauskas in the fold. This Colorado team brought in a bunch of young players. They bring in Matt Dunn, and this team, I think, is just poised to continue to rock and roll, be a perennial playoff team, compete for a championship year in and year out. They have arguably top 3, not number 3, goalie in the NLL in Dylan Ward. I just think this team is super poised to compete for a championship once again this year. Will they win it? That remains to be seen, but I think they are going to be in the conversation of one of those top 4 teams when it's all said and done in 2023.
Yeah, it's very rare to say that a championship team either stayed as good as they were the year before or got better, but that's definitely the case with Colorado. I'd say they got better, looking at the talent that they could possibly be bringing in / did bring in, and that will have a jersey on for them this year. Like, it's hard to say that they're not the favorite because they got better from last year. Like, heading into the season, they have to be a clear-cut favorite, not only to win the West, but to win the championship. Like, they're at that level again on paper anyway. And even just adding Matt Dunn could possibly be huge for the defense. Like, there's just so many good moves that were made that I'm really excited to see what Colorado does this year.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this team right now, some key names that a lot of lacrosse fans will know. Tim Edwards, Logan Wisnausis, Brett Craig, Warren Jeffrey coming back healthy, Ryan Lee coming back healthy. Like, remember, this team won a championship without Ryan Lee in the lineup. Chris Wardle, Robert Hope, Jordan Gillies, Zed Williams, Tyler Carlson, Asher Knowlting, Matt Dunn, Anthony Joachim, Keegan Kahn is on this roster. Tyson Gibson will now be in this system for a full season. Brett McIntyre, Dylan Ward, Eli McLaughlin is back. Dylan Kinnear, Jake Higgins is on this team, fresh off a championship with the Water Dogs. Joey Cupido is obviously back. John Lintz is back. Zach Geddes is on this roster. Connor Robinson, obviously, the boy, the Mad Hatter. And Steven Reifus is part of this Colorado Mammoth squad. This team is loaded top to bottom. I'm excited to see them just, go on this championship tour and try to run it back and repeat. It's very tough to repeat in the NLL. But I think if there is a team that potentially could pull it off and win back-to-back, this Colorado team is as loaded as ever to be one of those teams that could win back-to-back championships.
Oh, absolutely. Going back to them not losing anything from last year, but only gaining this year. Asher, Logan, and Matt Dunn, like, those are three of the best players from the PLL. And, like, granted, PLL and NLL aren't the same, box and field aren't the same, but they're at the level where they know so much about the game and their stick skills are only getting better. They're not really digressing at this point, so they're going to be very helpful, especially to a team like Colorado. You're throwing them in with Zed Williams and company. Like, it's no way they're not productive.
100%. So we're going to look at their schedule now, break down month by month what we think their record will be, and then obviously when the month of May rolls around, DJ and I will see how wrong we were, or how right we were in some instances like we were last year. So Deej, Colorado disrespectfully kicks their season off on the road on December 3rd. They go to Saskatchewan. They only have 2 games in December. They're on the road against Saskatchewan, and they're on the road against Panther City. So the defending champs don't even get to play in front of their home crowd again until the turn of the calendar. But 2 road matchups against the 2 wildcard teams in this West Division with Saskatchewan and Panther City. I think it's 2 formidable matchups. Obviously important to win these divisional games, but how do you see the month of December shaping up for the Colorado Mammoth with these 2 games on the schedule at Saskatchewan, at Panther City?
I got 2-0. I think it's a favorable start for them. It's a chance for them to kind of quote unquote work out the kinks. Like, they're going to be tough games because they're working out kinks. Like, I think they have enough talent to beat both of these teams handily, and we'll see that later in the year, in my opinion. But these first 2 they're going to be tough. You got to get everybody back acclimated with each other and how guys, where they want the ball, how they want it, that kind of stuff. So I think they'll be close, but I don't think either one of these teams is going to steal a win.
Yeah, I think 2-0 is the call here. I think the closer of the 2 games will be Panther City. I like what they did this offseason. I think they're going to be sneaky, frisky good. But yeah, I think 2-0 is the call there. Going into the new year, their first home game as defending champs, banner night, I'm pretty sure. Saturday, January 7th, home against Calgary. Then Friday the 13th, January 13th, home against Saskatchewan. And then Saturday, January 28th, home against the Seals. So the whole month of January at home for Colorado. Matchups all against the West: Calgary, Saskatchewan, San Diego. I have this team going 2-1 in the month of January. One of those losses will either be against Saskatchewan or against San Diego. The three matchups in the regular season last year against San Diego were electric between these two teams. San Diego blew out Colorado on ESPN2 in one of them, and then down the stretch, Colorado was able to put it together and steal one from them as well. And it determined a lot of the playoff standings last year as well between these two teams. But I have 2-1 in the month of January for Colorado.
Yeah, I like 2-1 as well. But I think they beat Saskatchewan and they lose San Diego and Calgary. They beat Calgary and Saskatchewan and they lose San Diego. I think San Diego is going to be a very interesting team this year. I think they're going to start off hot and kind of tether off again like they did last year. So I think it'll still be a little early and they'll catch Colorado kind of sleeping per se. And that'll be the lone loss that Colorado has that year or that month.
So moving into February, the shortest month of the year, but a loaded schedule for Colorado. February 3rd, they are home against Georgia. Then back-to-back, they go to Vegas February 4th to take on the Desert Dogs. February 11th, they go to Calgary. February 18th, they go to Panther City. And then they're back home February 24th to play against Panther City as well. So the month of February, Georgia, Las Vegas, Calgary, and 2 against Panther City.
The 2 against Panther City are interesting because they're back-to-back, and then it'll be the second and third time that they're playing them. I think Panther City wins the third, but Colorado wins the second. Colorado will beat Vegas as well. I like 4-1 here. I think Calgary gets them on the turnaround from the last time they played them.
I'm gonna say 3-2. I think the Panther City games will be tough, just because it's always tough to beat a team 3 times. So one of those will be a loss, and then I think Calgary could be a tough one at Calgary. And then it's always tough with back-to-backs, especially Friday, Saturday, and you're going to Vegas after being at home, so that could be tough. But I think 3-2 is my call here. But I mean, Colorado surprised us before and pulled off games that we didn't think they would win. So February, loaded month for them. Then the month of March, home against Calgary. Then they go to Buffalo for a championship rematch. Then they go to Vancouver, and then they wrap up March at home against Vegas. So the month of March, Calgary, Buffalo, Vancouver, Vegas.
I think they lose to Buffalo. And Calgary.
2-2 is DJ's call for the month of March. I have them going 3-1. I think they steal that Calgary one back from February that we mentioned. I think they beat Vancouver. I think they beat Vegas, and they will lose that Buffalo game because Buffalo is going to be angry bulls. They are going to want to win that game more than anything. So pretty much we are on the same page right now. Going into April for the Colorado Mammoth, it looks like this as they try to make a push for the postseason. Home against Vancouver, home against San Diego, on the road against Saskatchewan, on the road against San Diego.
2-1. I think they lose
4
one
games.
of the. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Two
right.
2 against San Diego, 1 against Saskatchewan, and then 1 against Vancouver.
3-1. I think they drop 1 to San Diego in that process.
Yeah, I think 3-1 is the call. They'll lose one of the San Diego games. They'll beat Vancouver, and I think Saskatchewan. I think that Saskatchewan game will mean a lot, and Colorado will have the depth and the firepower to pull that win out. So I think overall we have the same record for this team. Doing some quick math here for the Colorado Mammoth. That's 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 3. 13 wins for the Colorado Mammoth between the both of us. The only difference is you had a 4-1 February, I had a 3-2, and then you have a 2-2 March, I have a 3-1 March. It's the same record, baby. That's 13-5 for the Colorado Mammoth from both of us. We're big on the defending champs. Let's also do this. Who do you think team MVP is for Colorado?
Dylan Ward.
I'm going to go with, I think this is Zed Williams' breakout year in the NLL. As dumb as that sounds, Zed Williams has played a different role in the NLL over the past couple of seasons. I think the playoffs showed what he's capable of when guys went down. I think this is Zed Williams' breakout year for his NLL career. Let's move to San Diego, where the Super Seals have assembled one of the most ridiculous off seasons of all time. Curtis Dixon, now in San Diego, reuniting with Dane Dobie and Wes Berg. My boy, the homie for life, Kevin Crowley, the big cat, now out west with San Diego. Frank Chiliano is back for San Diego. Connor Farrell is now a member of this Seals team. This team is just absolutely ridiculous, and you and I have talked off pod, on pod, looking at this team very much, outside of a few players that they replaced with the aforementioned Curtis Dixon and Kevin Crowley, running it back in a lot of places. You'll have a fully healthy Austin Stotts now. Danny Logan is now a part of this team. There's just so many pieces on this squad that I think the only question is there enough ball to feed to all of these guys? It could either work really, really well, and I think I lean that way because of who their coach is in Patrick Merrill. He can juggle egos, he can work really well with these guys, or it can flop right in their face, and San Diego could be, in for a world of hurt. How do you see this Seals team going into the season, Deej?
It's very similar to last year, which kind of scares me because it's like they had a ton of potential last year and looked like the best team in the West and were supposed to go, all the way. And there was just so much hype around them, and then they kind of just flopped. And this year is kind of the same. They didn't really change anything other than bringing in, Kevin Crowley and Curtis Dixon, which is huge. Those are huge additions. I'm not saying, they didn't do anything. That's nothing. That those are huge additions, but they didn't make any drastic changes. So it's are they going to just do exactly what they did last year? Are they going to create all this hype to not do anything? So I'm very intrigued at what they do, especially because they continue to bolster their offense a little more than their defense, which is an interesting move to me as well because defenses do win championships. But, I'll leave that here nor there, wherever you want to put it. But I do think they have a better chance of making a 1 or 2 seed this year than they did last year, coming in at the 3 and squeezing into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, this offense is loaded between Big Cat, Curtis Dixon, Wes Berg, Dane Dobie, Austin Stotts. The list goes on and on. They're going to be an interesting team to just follow along with all season to see if this works. I think it will. I think these guys know what it takes to win in this league as a whole, and now they just want to get to the top of the mountain like their teammate Eli Gobrecht did with the Water Dogs and win a championship and get Brody Merrill the first ring of his career. So looking at this Seals schedule here, Deej, they got 3 games in the month of December, which this first one, you and I will be at. Very exciting stuff. Deej and I will be at the Coliseum December 3rd for Seals Riptide, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time start. So if you're going to be at the Coliseum, come say what's up. But this is their schedule in December. Deej, they're at New York, home against Saskatchewan, and then New Year's Eve, December 30th, they go to Calgary. So that's their schedule in December.
I got I have 4-1. I think they dropped one to Calgary.
So 2-1.
Yeah. I wrote this down, I wrote this down so wrong.
I have 2-1 as well. I think they dropped the one to Saskatchewan at home, which will be like one of those like letdown spots. But I'm going to say 2-1 as well in December. Month of January looks like this for San Diego. They're home against Vancouver, at Calgary again, at Colorado, and that is their month of January.
2-1. Because I think they steal that game back from Calgary.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say 2-1 as well. One of those losses will either be Calgary or Colorado, in my opinion. Then moving into February, Saturday, February 4th is their first game. They're home against Panther City. Then they are home February 17th against Saskatchewan. 2 games in February for the Seals.
I like the Seals to beat Panther City, but I think they lose to Saskatchewan the second time.
So you have them
lose
1-1.
to Colorado. Colorado's in this week too, right?
Nope, just 2 games in February.
Yeah.
So you have them 1-1. I have them. I'm gonna have them at 2-0. But I think that Panther City game will be close. But I'm gonna have 2-0 in February, which moves us to the month of March for San Diego. They are home against Vegas. Or I'm sorry, location is TBA for this game, which makes me think this could be the return of that scheduled 2020 military base game. But San Diego is technically the home team against Las Vegas. Then they're at Saskatchewan. Then they're at Vancouver. And then they're at Panther City on the first part of a back-to-back. And then they go home against Buffalo. So this is the schedule in March. Vegas, Saskatchewan, Vancouver, Panther City, Buffalo. There's another game too. Home against Calgary. So 6 games total.
They'll beat Vegas. They'll beat Sask. And they'll beat Panthers City. I go 3-3.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I think they split.
Yeah, I think 3-3 is the call. This is gonna be, I think, a big test month for them. If they can go better than 3-3, I think they're in the driver's seat to probably win the West. But they're gonna have to be clicking on all cylinders. That back-to-back is tough, no matter what team it is. But that's going to be a tough stretch in the month of March for San Diego. No, I think we'll really see what type of team they are in the month of March with that schedule. And then their April looks like this. They are on the road against Vegas, on the road against Colorado, home against Vegas, and home against Colorado. So same 2 teams, just different locations. 4 total games in the month of April. to round out the regular season.
Two and two.
I'm going to say 3-1 because I think they're going to need to be 3-1 in some key spots to potentially make, where they want to be in the playoffs. So that brings our records to this. DJ, you've got 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2. 10 wins for the San Diego Seals. I think my only change, let's see, I have 2 times 3 is 6 plus 3 plus 3. I have them at 12 wins. You have them at 10. So I'd be 12-6. You're 10-8. You're San Diego Seals team MVP.
Ooh. Probably Frank.
I like that. I'm going to say Big Cat.
Okay.
Kevin Crowley. I think he's got to step up in a big way for this team to be successful. I think he can do that. So that is San Diego. Next up, the Calgary Roughnecks in what could be a very interesting season. Just like we said last year, we didn't know exactly what this team would be. Now we really don't know what this team will be. Lots of turnover. Curtis Dixon's gone. Cole Pickup is now in Panther City. Shout out to the boy. But before we dive into Calgary, this breakdown is brought to you by the guys on the hats that DJ and I are wearing. Our friends at Kenwood Beer. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use that all new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. Crack open an ice cold Kenny when you're watching NLL action all season long. That's kenwoodbeer.com. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, Calgary surprised a lot of people last year, made the postseason, made some noise down the stretch. Pretty sure they won the Alterna Cup as well last year. So they are, they added a trophy to the case as well when it comes to, head-to-head in Canada. So the defending Alterna Cup champions going into this season, I think, have a lot of questions to answer. This is now fully Jesse King and Zach Currier and Christian Del Bianco's team. I think they're the biggest wild card. I mentioned Saskatchewan and Panther City. I think this team is the wild card. They could go one of two ways, and I know that sounds stupid because it's the two answers, but they could either be a playoff team again, or they could really crumble if things don't start off well for them.
Yeah, I agree. It's a shaky year when you let go of a guy like Curtis Dixon, and then you look at, the roster that they've had the last couple of years. Very important guys are continuously in and out with injuries. This is, it's a shaky move, and it concerns me in a way that I'm not sure what the offense is going to look like. They didn't really make changes defensively. They re-signed the boy Christian Del Bianco, so defensively, I feel like they're okay. I feel like they have the transition as well. It's just a big offensive year, and wondering how they're going to bounce back on that side of the ball. Considering they lost a lot there.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at some of the offseason moves that they made, obviously in the expansion draft, they ended up trading for Jeff Cornwall, which I think was a big acquisition for them. Curtis Manning is on this team still. They signed Brett Hickey in free agency. I think that's a huge pickup for them to kind of try to fill the void of Curtis Dixon. Tanner Cook is still on this roster. Eli Salama is back. You have Harrison Matsuoka back, Jesse King, obviously, Liam LeClaire, another year on this defense. Dan Taylor is back. You have Justin Inacio now taking faceoffs for this team. We'll see how that works out for them. Christian Del Bianco, obviously, in net. Nate Wade is back. Mitch Wild is on this team. Tyler Pace, Zach Harrywayers, Zach Currier, and Hayden Dixon. So, I mean, they have some pieces. It's just a matter of, will Brett Hickey fit into this offense the same way Curtis Dixon did. They're obviously two different players, but you need Brett Hickey's, lethal type of shooting to really be successful on this team to hopefully see Calgary back in the playoffs. But looking at the Calgary Roughnecks schedule, starting, I believe, is their game against Saskatchewan on November 26th, the regular season game?
It can't be, right?
I don't think so. I think that's I don't know why that's... Let me look here. That's got to be
lost.
preseason. Calgary's website was a little different than everybody else's, so I want to say, actually, I'm going to do this for them. I'm going to sift through on the actual NLL. Okay, so December 10th is their first game. Okay. Just wanted to make sure because Calgary has a game listed that is a preseason game on their schedule. So Calgary, the month of December looks like this. They are home against Vancouver, on the road against Vancouver, and then home against San Diego. That is their month of December.
I like 2-2. I like 2-2.
2-1 or 3 games?
I'm really bad at this. Yeah, 2-1.
Hey, they never said math was easy.
Math is hard as hell.
I have 2-1 as well. Something tells me they'll end up probably losing to San Diego or splitting with Vancouver. The month of January, they're on the road against Colorado, home against San Diego, and then home against the Toronto Rock. So 3 games in January, on the road against Colorado, home against San Diego and Toronto. I have them 0-3. That's a tough slate.
It's just tough because they have guys that have so much fight in them that you don't want to count them off as 0-3 ever. I'm gonna say 1-2. I think they still won in that one.
Only reason I say 0-3, those 3 teams are championship contending teams.
They're loaded, yes.
So that's a tough schedule, no matter who the team is. So we'll see how they do. I hope they prove me wrong, but the month of January for Calgary could be not a lot of fun, to say the least.
No.
Looking at the month of February, though, this is Calgary's schedule. They are on the road against Halifax, home against Saskatchewan, home against Colorado, and that is a back-to-back with Saskatchewan and Colorado. Then they are on the road against Vancouver, on the road against Vegas. So Halifax, Saskatchewan, Colorado, Vancouver, and Vegas. 5 games.
I think that's a big month for them. They go 4-1.
Wow. I have them going 2-3. I think that Colorado, Saskatchewan back-to-back is tough, and Halifax on the road is always a tough environment. I have them going 2-3, 4-1 for Deej. Then we go to the month of March. We've got on the road against Colorado, then home for St. Patrick's Day against the Rush, then on the road against the Rush, and then on the road against San Diego. 3 road games, 1 home game being that always fun St. Patty's Day game. But we got Colorado, 2 against the Rush, and then San Diego.
2-2. I think they split with the Rush, though.
I have 2-2 as well. It's going to be a big month for them. No matter what February brings them, March will also be big. And then the month of April, 3 games to round out the regular season. Home against Panther City, home against Vegas, road against Panther City.
One and two.
I have them at 1-2 as well. So this is what Calgary looks like for Deej. You got 2 + 1 + 4 + 2 + 1. You got Calgary at 10 wins as well. I have Calgary at 2, 4, 6, 7 wins for Calgary from me this season, which means they are 7-9. Shout out, or no, that is wrong math. 7-11. Right, 1, 3, 5, 7. Yeah, 7-11. I think it will be a down year for Calgary. I think it's tough when you have so much turnover year in and year out. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they win a couple of those games in the month of February, and we'll see how that goes. But Deej, who's your Calgary team MVP?
Hayden Dixon.
I like that.
Like, obviously, I've been going mostly goalies and, like, defensive side because, that's who wins championships and all that jazz. But for this matter, like, this team, if they're going to have an MVP and a rock star, it's really going to help them out. It's going to be someone on the offensive side. I really like Hayden Dixon and what he brings to the floor and energy-wise.
I got to go with the boy, Jesse King, future guest of this podcast, because he's that guy. He's that dude. So give me Jesse King to be the Calgary team MVP. Moving on, we go to Saskatchewan for one of the wild card teams that we think could either be really, really good again or be a complete disaster. I think one of the biggest things the Saskatchewan Rush did this offseason was bring back Kyle Rubish. I think that was huge for their defense, huge for their locker room. But Deej, what's your outlook on this Saskatchewan team, a team you and I were very down on throughout the entirety of last season, and then towards the end of the year they get hot, and we don't know what to make of them. But what's your outlook for this 2022-2023 Rush squad?
I'm ready to see what they're gonna do. I don't really have a lot of expectations because last year was my first year really getting into this thing and seeing what they were about, and they had a down year, so I don't want to hold them to that standard because I've heard / seen what they did in the past, and then to come in and hold them to 1 year is kind of, and in my opinion, isn't the right thing to do. So they still very much have an open book, in my opinion. I'm excited to see, it's just tough though because they don't really have the pieces, but I feel like they have the grit and that attitude that you need to be successful. They have that, but they don't have necessarily the successful talent there to do it.
So this is what their schedule looks like for 2022-2023. The month of December, they host the defending champion Colorado Mammoth. Then they go to San Diego, and then we've got New Year's Eve lacrosse in Saskatchewan. Hopefully this becomes a tradition. Panther City at Saskatchewan. So their schedule is home against Colorado, road against San Diego, home against Panther City.
Two and one.
I like the optimism. I have them going 1-2. I think that Panther City game is going to be very tough. even though they're at home. And then, but I think they'll end up winning that one. And then I think San Diego is tough. We'll see how that goes. And then I think they'll end up losing that opener game to Colorado. But 2-1, 1-2, respectfully. Then we go to the new year. January 13th is their first game. Nothing like the new year than going to Colorado to take on the Mammoth. Then January 28th, they're home against Vegas. So just 2 games in the month of January. Road against Colorado, home against Vegas. I think they'll split that. 1-1 seems like the ideal call. It might be a cop-out call, but 1-1 I think is the go-to.
Yeah, I like that too. Just thinking of how sports work, how teams work, the body works, etc. Like, worst case scenario is the Rush catch fire and they win like 5 games in a row, and we're just sitting there looking like, well, but like I highly doubt that, and more times than not, they're going to split a weekend with 2 games.
So then looking at February, they're on the road against Vancouver, on the road against Calgary, on the road against San Diego, home against Vancouver. Very tough road stint there. At Vancouver, at Calgary, at San Diego, home against Vancouver.
What was that, 5?
4. 3 on the road, 1 at home.
Ooh.
3 straight on the road, too.
1-3.
I have them going 2-2. I'm a little optimistic with 2 games against Vancouver and then Calgary on there as well. February's going to be tough, though. That's a tough road trip there. But moving into March...
I was optimistic earlier, so I had to look there.
Moving into March, they're on the road against Panther City, home against San Diego, on the road for St. Patrick's Day against Calgary, and then back home against Calgary. So 4 games in the month of March: Panther City, San Diego, Calgary, Calgary.
That's so much work. 2-2.
I have them at 2-2 as well in the month of March. And then the month of April, rounding out the regular season. April Fool's Day, they host Vancouver. Then they go to Georgia. Then they host Halifax, host Colorado, and then go to Vegas. Tough month of April. 5 games: Vancouver, Georgia, Halifax, Colorado, Las Vegas.
Hmm. 2-3.
I have them going 3-2. So the overall records here for Saskatchewan look like this. DJ has 2 plus 1, plus 1, plus 2, plus 2. Overall record for Saskatchewan for Deej is 8-10. And I have them at 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3. I have them at 9-9, which I think was the record I had them at last year as well. And Deej, your team MVP for the Saskatchewan Rush.
Jeff Shatler.
He retired.
You're right. You know what? It'd be Kyle Rubish if it's anyone. I think him coming back and returning is really huge, not only for this team, but more so for himself. I think that was more of a him move than it was for the team move. So I'll be really interested to watch him and what he's got going on.
I'm going to go Josh Courier. Shout out to the boy, the Jackrabbit. I think he's going to have a bounce-back year for Saskatchewan this year and really put on for the Rush. Moving on, we're going down to Texas. The Panther City Lacrosse Club. This team is probably going to wind up on DJ and I's quote-unquote League Pass squad. We're very high on Panther City this year. We like their team a lot. I think they're building something special down there with TK, with Liam Burns, with Patrick Dodds, Jonathan Donville, the whole squad. This team's going to be so much fun. If there's any team that you get ESPN Plus for, this is not an ad. It should be Panther City, just in terms of like the style of lacrosse they play and how I think it's going to carry over to this season. But Deech, how are you feeling about our boys down in Panther City in 2023?
But it's I don't know, because like last year they had a really intriguing year because it was like we rated them really low, didn't expect them to do well, but like we did have some optimism with your prior knowledge with TK and what he had done with the Wings and just some of the guys that they had gotten in their draft, but then they came out and just kind of were all-stars for like a solid like month and a half, 2 months. They just were
like a 7-game win streak or something.
It literally like went on like a 7-week bender where they were like the best team in the NLL, and everybody just was like, "What?" Like,
almost made the playoffs.
And literally almost made the playoffs, and it's just like I think they're gonna build off of that a lot, honestly, and I'm really excited for what they have moving. But at the same time, they could easily digress and kind of have a first-year expansion team season this year because they kind of just rode the highs of being together for the first time and kind of just, doing the groundbreaking thing, and they bonded together and just rode off of that. So this is very much still a limbo season, but more excited and feel more prepared for what they're going to do this year.
Yeah, they've got quite the schedule in the month of December, but their roster, like we mentioned, producer Donnie, Jonathan Donville, shout out Back of the Bird, is now in the fold. Liam Burns, Phil Caputo, Patrick Dodds, Pat Foley on this team once again, Ryan Fournier now in Panther City, Matt Hosick back with this squad, Tony Malcolm and Will Malcolm on this team, Evan Messenger on this team. You've obviously got Kevin Orleman, Liam Patton, Cole Pickup coming over from Calgary. Jeremy Thompson is back. There's some players on this team. Connor Sellers as well on that defense. This team has a lot of, potential and a lot of bright spots on it that are very intriguing. But here's their month of December, Deej. Friday, December 9th, they open their season hosting the expansion Las Vegas Desert Dogs. Then they go to Las Vegas the following week as part of the first end of a back-to-back. Then they host Colorado that Saturday. And then, obviously, they are part of that New Year's Eve lacrosse in Saskatchewan. So they're 4 games. 2 against Vegas, 1 against Colorado, and then Saskatchewan.
2-2.
I have them at 2-2 as well. I think it's a bit of a grind for those 4 games there. The back-to-back is tough, and then New Year's Eve in Saskatchewan I think is going to be a madhouse. But I think Panther City can weather a bit of a storm and go 2-2 there. Kicking off the new year, they go to Rochester, then they go to Philadelphia, and then they go to Vancouver. So the entire month of January on the road, Rochester, Philly, Vancouver.
One and 3.
Just 3 games. I gotta put a counter in post. How many times the math was not mathing?
1 and 2. Oh man, dude, it's gonna be like double digits.
I have them going 2-1. I think they can beat Rochester. I think they can beat Vancouver, and I think the Wings will just get the best of them. So yeah, I have 2-1. You have 1-2. Then going into February, they go to San Diego, host Vancouver, host Colorado, go to Colorado. So 2 against Colorado, 1 against Vancouver, 1 against San Diego. Tough month of February for the Panther City boys.
I like 2-1 here.
4 games.
2, 3, and 1.
3
and it's
and
funny
1.
because I counted that time with you.
I have 1-3. San Diego's tough, and then 2 games against Colorado is tough. And then Vancouver, we'll see how that game plays out. But I think February is going to be a tough month for Panther City. But going into March, they host Saskatchewan, they host Las Vegas, and they host San Diego. So 3 straight home games here. I have them going 2-1 in the month of March. They'll rebound, have a much more successful month of March down the stretch, and try to be locking up a wild card spot. How do you have the month of March going with those 3 games?
I think they digress and go 1-2. And they kind of slow down and come off of their hot bender I had them on. And then they have to refocus.
And here's the month of April. They host Albany. They go to Calgary. They go to Vancouver. And then they host Calgary. So 2 games against Calgary, 1 against Albany, 1 against Vancouver. I have them going 3-1 in the month of April.
2-2.
So that puts our overall records for our League Pass squad, one of, in 2023. DJ, you got 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2. DJ's got him at 9-9. 500 record for Panther City. I have them going 4 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. I have them going 10-8, which could be in the mix for a wild card spot. Your team MVP for Panther City is I have a feeling I know who it is.
I like Orleman here.
It's not who I thought. I'm going to say Liam Burns.
Okay.
Which is who I thought you were going to say. I thought he was fantastic for them. I think he took another step forward with the Water Dogs this past PLL season, and I think that's going to pay dividends for Panther City.
It's just hard not to go with the goalie in a lot of these scenarios because, I mean, they're so good already, but then you think about the offenses they're going against and you know how well they play to get wins in these scenarios. It's hard not to say, you know, they deserve MVP.
100%. And now that brings us to Vancouver. We're heading out west in Canada for the Vancouver Warriors as I type out our list here. And this team has had a microscope under it all off season. Lots of head scratching. Interesting moves, to say the least. They bring in Sean Evans. And this team has kind of been in a weird limbo state the past couple of seasons, you know, adding pieces, trying to win, and it just not clicking. You know, Vancouver is a team that I've always thought could get it done. Like, they have the talent, whether it's Mitch Jones, Logan Schuss, you know, you bring in Riley Lowen from Calgary a couple seasons ago. Now you bring in Sean Evans. I mean, this team has talent. It's just a matter of, will that talent click? How are you feeling about Vancouver going into 2023, Deej?
I'm very shaky on Vancouver just because of everything that happened in the offseason. Obviously, they're all seeing that on social media. They're all hearing it. And, that's not just, you know, players. That's front office. That's coaches. That's everything. That has to start to affect the locker room at some point. Are those guys distracted at any point? there's just so much going on outside of lacrosse that worries me, that it'll eventually, permeate into the locker room and affect on-field production.
So looking at their schedule here, it is not a fun month of December for Vancouver. They start their season on the road against Toronto. Then they go on the road again against Calgary, and then they come home to host Calgary. So 2 against Calgary, 1 against Toronto. Tough start to the season here. 3 straight Alterna Cup matchups to begin the season for Vancouver. How do you see December working for the Warriors, Deej?
1 and 3. 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yeah, I knew it was 3, and I think that's why I said 3.
I have 1 and 2 as well. I think there's potential for a split with Calgary, but it also wouldn't shock me if 0 and 3 is in the cards, which would suck for their season. 1 and 2, I'll be a little optimistic to start the season here. Then going into 2023, they are on the road against San Diego, home against the Desert Dogs, on the road against the Desert Dogs, and then home against Panther City. So 4 games, 2 of them against Vegas, 1 on the road against San Diego, and then hosting Panther City.
I like 2 and 2 here.
I have 1 and 3. San Diego on the road is tough. I think Panther City is going to be a tough matchup for them, and then they'll split with Vegas. Moving to February, they host Saskatchewan. They're on the road against Panther City. Host Calgary, on the road against Saskatchewan. So 2 against Saskatchewan, 1 against Calgary, 1 against Panther City.
Three and 1.
You're not feeling so iffy anymore. I'm going to go 2 and 2 for Vancouver in February. They'll have a little bit of a bounce back, but we'll see what happens in the month of March, which looks like this. They're on the road against Vegas, home against San Diego, home against Colorado.
1 and 2.
I'm at 1 and 2 as well. And then the month of April, on the road against Saskatchewan, on the road against Colorado, home against Panther City, home against the New York Riptide.
2 and 2.
I have 1 and 3, which brings our total win-loss record here for Deej. You have 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. You got him at 500, 9 and 9 for Vancouver. I have Vancouver going 1, 2, 4, 5. I have Vancouver with 6 wins this season, which means 6 and 12. I think it's going to be a tough season for them. Team MVP?
Miss Jones.
We're in the same boat there. I think Mitch is going to have another MVP Mitch season, be part of the Backpack Boys, and help carry this team a ton. Which now, Deej, we bring on the expansion squad, the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, who I think have done a phenomenal job as an expansion team, adding talent. Some key names for you all out there to know who is on this Vegas Desert Dogs team. Garrett McIntosh, Tor Reinhold, Joe Robertson, Marshall King, Rob Hellier. We've got Mark Glissini on this team now. We've got Jacob Rouet on this team now. We've got all-name team defenseman Striker Roloff on this team. James Barclay on this team. Jack Hanna, Connor Kirst, Jackson Subak. Landon Kells, Nakai Montgomery, Charlie Bertrand, Brandon Cleland, John Wagner, Zach Greer, Travis Cornwall, Ty Thompson, Reed Reinhold. This team is stacked. Like, talent-wise, in terms of NLL experience and overall talent, this reminds me a lot of the 2018-2019 San Diego Seals, who pulled just a shit ton of players from that championship rush team. I am very high on this team. I think they are built to win immediately. They've done some phenomenal moves this offseason to build this roster out. And let's not forget, position-wise, with their goalies, they've got... Where did they go? Here we go. Landon Kells, Joel Watson, Austin Patty. Think Landon Kells will be the starter for them. But I am loving the way this team has been built out. You know, as an expansion squad, they've been aggressive with trades. They've been aggressive with free agency. I'm super excited to just see how this team comes together under Sean Williams, their head coach and GM, who's been with Colorado in the past. I think he's going to be a phenomenal coach for them. And, they've got an overall great coaching staff. Rob Williams coming over from Calgary, who is the defensive coordinator for the 2019 champion Roughnecks. And then you've got Kevin Millen, who's a 5-time NLL champion, coming over to be the offensive coordinator for this team. Played for the Rochester Nighthawks from 05 to 09. And he was the coach for them. Or no, I'm sorry, he played for them when they won the 2007 NLL title. So, I mean, coaching staff is accomplished. This roster is filled with talent. How do you feel about Las Vegas, Deej?
I'm really excited for this year. I think they did a really amazing job of putting a team together that has a good mix of young and old, can run the floor, but also has, that IQ of the game, but not just the game, but like the NLL game. And when you need certain things in the NLL game, what you need at certain times, what's going to happen during a certain point in the game, all of that is important, and you get that in veterans. And I think they pulled in the right ones when you look at how they will combine with the talent and the thought process of the young guys that they have coming in. And they're literally built to win from the very top. Like, the ownership group is full of owners, or is full of winners, and that permeates all the way down from there. Like, every level there are winners, and they've been winning at what they've been doing for a long time. So the expectation will be to win, and that's what they're there to establish, is an expectation of winning. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them jump off right away and be a very, very good team.
So this is the inaugural schedule for the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. Their month of December, they play one team, 2 games against Panther City, a home and home. I think they'll probably end up splitting this. I think it'll be much easier sailing for Las Vegas to get that first win off their back and not have to carry that weight like Panther City did last year for a couple of weeks. But I have them going 1-1 in December.
I like that as well.
Then we go to January, where they kick off the new year, hosting the Philadelphia Wings. Then they go to Vancouver. Then they host Vancouver. And then they're at Saskatchewan.
I like 1 and 2.
4 games.
1 and 3.
I have them going 2-2. I think they'll be able to pull out 2 wins there. Then we go to February. They host Colorado. They're at Albany, and then they host Calgary.
One and two.
I have them going 2-1. I think they're going to upset Albany, and I think they're going to upset Calgary in those games. Then the month of March is where it gets real tough for an expansion team. You are at San Diego, home against Vancouver, at Panther City, home against Rochester, at Colorado. So 5 total games, road games against divisional opponents in San Diego, Panther City, and Colorado, hosting Vancouver and hosting Rochester. This is where I think the schedule slips up on Las Vegas a little bit. I have them going 1-4 in the month of March. I think that's a tough schedule. I think between San Diego, Panther City, and Colorado, that's going to be a battle for playoff positioning at the time. I think Rochester is going to be a tough matchup for them, and it's tough to beat a team multiple times in a season. We'll see if they can handle Vancouver like that, but I think 1-4 is my play here in the month of March.
I like 2-3 here.
Actually, you know what? I like 2-3 as well. Looking at this schedule again, as much as I just did, I'm gonna go 2-3 as well. Mostly because I'm not that high on Vancouver or Rochester. Then looking at April, another tough schedule. Home against San Diego, at Calgary, at San Diego, home against Saskatchewan.
Two and two.
I have them at 2-2 as well, which brings our total records to DJ. You've got the Las Vegas Desert Dogs inaugural season ending with a 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11 record, which I think is what Panther City finished with last year, if I'm not mistaken. And then I've got Las Vegas going 1, 3, 5, 7. I have them going 9-9, which I think either of those records would not shock me. And then your team MVP for the Las Vegas Desert Dogs inaugural season is...
I don't know.
I'm going to say Rob Hellier.
Fair. That's probably the safest guess, to be honest.
And if you want to get frisky, Charlie Bertrand.
Maybe.
That'd be my frisky pick, but my overall pick I think is going to be Rob Hellier as the team MVP. He's just too damn good.
He does have the opportunity to pop out. He'll have more space in the offense, and he did pop out with Rochester this year before really getting things going in the PLL. So maybe he likes the box game a little more.
So we have the West Division shaping out like this, Deej. We've got Colorado going 13-5. We've got San Diego going... You have them 10-8. I have them at 12-6. You've got Calgary at 10-8. I have them at 7-11. Saskatchewan, you have it 8-10. I have them at 9-9. Panther City, I have them at 10-8. You have them at 9-9. Vancouver, you've got it 9-9. I've got them at 6-12. And then you've got Las Vegas at 7-11. I have them at 9-9. West is going to be wild, no matter what.
Insane.
Like, you could tell me any of these 7 teams make the playoffs, and I'd believe you. Any combination of 3 make the playoffs, and I'd believe you. That's how stupid this division is and how crazy it's going to be. I think the 2 frisky league pass teams from the West that you guys should all be watching outside of the obvious Colorado, because those are my boys, and the Super Seals obviously are going to be fun to watch. But I think Panther City and Las Vegas are going to be entertaining as all hell this season, and you should be watching damn near every game those 2 teams play in. They're going to be so much fun. I'm going to keep an eye on both of those squads very, very intently, along with my defending champion Colorado Mammoth. But that's our West Division preview for the 2022-2023 NLL season. A couple semantics notes here. Two legends called it a career earlier this week. Joel White retires again, and Jordan Hall retire from the NLL. Two absolute legends in the National Lacrosse League. Won a championship with the Georgia Swarm, and Jordan Hall was in Philly the very first year we started this podcast and was always, always, always such a good dude to me and to every media member. Just a really great guy. I felt very fortunate to have been able to cover him the one year that he was here while I was covering lacrosse. And Joel White, obviously, is just a certified legend. And Deej and I got to cover him in the PLL a ton, when he was with Chrome, and, him coming back last year with Georgia was always questioned, I guess, but he did it. And, these two go out together, and Joel White gets to retire with two legends in both lacrosse leagues that he played in with John Galloway and Jordan Hall. So congratulations to those two on fantastic NLL careers.
Yeah, I mean, they balled out on the field, and I'm sure they're not done with box lacrosse, and may see him coach at one point or, something like that. But it's always interesting when a guy retires because they leave an imprint, whether it's on one team, multiple teams, the entire league. But they change something when they leave, especially if it's one team, the team changes the way they play offense, or, it's just, or guys are trying to emulate or be that guy now for the team, and they're trying to do what that guy used to do. It's just going to be interesting looking at Georgia because you can't be Joel White or Jordan Hall. Those guys are who they are. And I haven't even been in lacrosse for 6 years, and I know who Jordan Hall and Joel White are. Everybody in the community knows who those guys are, and those are big shoes to fill. Most guys aren't going to be able to fill those shoes. So it's just going to be interesting to see kind of how Georgia goes about creating basically a new identity. Those guys are big personality guys, locker room guys, on-field leaders. You're almost recreating the basis of your team when you lose two guys like that.
And I think Georgia's lucky in a sense that they have Lyle Thompson, they have Miles Thompson back, and they have Shane Jackson on that team. So that's huge just in terms of leadership in the locker room and not necessarily losing, team leaders on and off the floor. Although losing those guys obviously is a huge void to fill. They still have three pretty damn good leaders in that locker room, so they're very fortunate with that. But, tip of the cap to Jordan Hall and Joel White. There's three guys, though, from Georgia that have retired this offseason, including Mike Poulin. So we'll see how Georgia shapes up when we break down the old school East Division later this month. The other news comes from the PLL. The Cannons have signed Matt Cavanaugh through 2023. That was always the intent when that trade went through, was for Cannons to sign Cav to, prevent him from getting to free agency. So now he's signed through 2023. They don't have to worry about him in free agency, and the first free agent is off the board before free agency even starts.
Yeah, I'm really excited for free agency, and obviously, with this move, we all saw it coming as it being quote unquote the first, signing, because, who's spending that, taking on that kind of contract to not sign him for an extended period of time and see what he can do for your team moving forward. But who else than Matt Cavanaugh to be the first one, right? It just seems like something he would have to do.
Yeah.
I feel like he was sitting down with a bunch of guys and was like, I'm going to be the first guy to sign in free agency. Because, why not? Right? Isn't that cool?
It's a historic thing for the PLL.
He's like, I just got to make history like that, man.
I am him.
It's only right for me to do it. I'm Matt Cavanaugh.
Do you know who I am? Who do you think you are? I am.
That's literally what I was going to say.
Shout out to Cav. We have personal news for you guys. Like Deej and I mentioned earlier in the show, we will be at Seals at Riptide on December 3rd at the Coliseum. The night before, Deej will be in studio at Underground Studios for opening night as the Philadelphia Wings head to Halifax to take on the Thunderbirds, and we will have a live watch-along Friday, December 2nd for Wings at Thunderbirds. Think of it as like the Manning cast, but Deej and I will be in the same room, unlike Peyton and Eli. We will be doing live commentary of the game, talking to you guys in the stream chat. Hopefully going to be doing this exclusively on YouTube. We might put it out on Twitter as well, but getting the chat going on YouTube. DJ just announced today, too, you can get Q&As full-blown on YouTube live streams, which is huge.
Fire.
So Wings at Thunderbirds, live watch-along Friday, December 2nd. We'll let you know what time we'll be live and everything as it gets closer. And at halftime, DJ and I will be doing PLL Topps card openings.
Bang.
We've got hella packs to open. We just got 2 more with the PLL net included, and hopefully by then we might have boxes to open as well. If somebody, I mean, while Twitter's still alive, I still have my tip jar open on my profile. If you want to donate to us getting a PLL box, you don't have to, but if you want to, my tips are open. But Wings at Thunderbirds, live watch-along, Manning cast style, DJ and I, Friday, December 2nd, from Underground Studios. Get ready. It's going to be the broadcast that you want to watch. Not that you don't want to watch the NLL broadcast, but you want to watch along with us as well, because we're going to have one hell of a time, and DJ and I are up to something. We're up to something. That's why you got to follow us on the socials. For now, Twitter and Instagram at OTBLaxPod. Hopefully Twitter's still around. You can follow DJ on Twitter for the time being at SCS_NextGreat. You can follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Help us get on the charts. Help us continue to grow this podcast as a flagship, cornerstone of our company. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. You get full video episodes of every Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast on there. YouTube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. We're on that road to 1K challenge. We're at 311 subscribers right now. Help us get to 1K. I said on streamer season earlier, DJ, I think by the end of 2022, we can have the channel at 425 subscribers. I think that's so doable. Be a friend, tell a friend, subscribe to the YouTube channel, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, comment down below your thoughts on our predictions for the West Division. Who do you think we got right? Who do you think we got wrong? And big thank you to our sponsors. All of their information linked in the show notes on audio and in the description on YouTube. Check out our merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. It's phiapparel.co, and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch. OTB merch should be in the store, hopefully, by the time you guys are listening to this. And this has been episode number 247, an NLL preview edition of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 ranked NCAA, and viewable on YouTube. Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Deej, I'm KB. We'll see you guys next week when we're breaking down the old school North Division of the NLL. But until then, we're getting the heck out of here. Peace.
Peace.